Hello YouTube and welcome to my review of Gotham Academy Endgame number 1, or one shot, or whatever. Firstly, I'm going to do what I normally do at the start, which is talk about the cover, and I think it's great. It shows a rather kooky, one of the girls who I think was called Olive, clearly creeping the other one out with maps with a story, whilst in the background you can see all of these jokerized people. It lets you know exactly what's going on. Campfire stories in an environment surrounded by Joker zombies. It's plain, it's not misleading about the story, unlike some of the previous covers I've seen for Endgame. It sets the atmosphere of the book up very well. It lets you know what kinds of characters are in this book. It's generally just a really good cover. It's very simple. It's very eloquent. The art style in this book is very variable. It changes artists quite a lot. Generally, it starts off. They're not sure. Well, we're introduced to three girls. There's Olive, Maps, and Pomeline, or it might be Pomeline. I don't know. I've never come across the name before. I don't know how it's pronounced. So they're all telling each other Joker stories, and also apparently they mention someone called the Custodian, who is referenced quite a lot, who apparently stalks the grounds of the school and fights off the ghosts and the ghouls who prey on students. But it's also mentioned that he allegedly also preys on the students himself. So because she said, "Maps, keep it down, or the custodian will come get you. I heard he can make students disappear," with this creepy look on his face. I'll talk about this custodian character later, because it's very interesting what they've done here, and very clever in my opinion. So the artwork in this book is great. The colouring, particularly the colouring in the tent scenes, as you can see, is very warm glow. I think my camera, it's a bit overexposed, so it's kind of ruining the appearance of what you see here, but it's very warm and very realistic for that environment. Some of this stuff appears to be coloured with chalk pastels for, whose story is this one? I think this is Pomeline's first story, is the first one. And they're very interesting stories. They're kind of like the ghost stories that kids tell on camp, but they're not ghost stories, they're Joker stories. This one talks about this kid who steals a mask from a shop, and this tries to give it back. He can't. He gets creeped out by the mask because the mask goes, "You stole my heart, Jimmy!" And it terrifies him, and he's tearing it off. He's terrified. He throws it away, and this mask follows him and follows him and follows him and follows him, and eventually it turns him into the Joker. It sticks to his face and permanently forms his face into the Joker's face and drives him insane. This is brilliant. This is just the exact kind of twisted that some minds come up with, but then they're like, apparently the laughing mask is still out there, waiting to put a smile on your face. I like that. It's the kind of twisted thing where there's always something is about to get you. It's the kind of thing that you sort of tell each other as kids, and then once you've heard it, it gives you a nightmare about it. Maybe that was just me with the giant doll story. Anyway, so some of the artwork in this, most of it, as I said, is very sort of like the kind of stuff you might see in a children's storybook or even in a children's animated TV show. But then it's interspaced with some really chilling stuff, which I think is absolutely perfect. And a lot of these Jokerized people are becoming less and less human-like as the transformation is going along. And it explains why Maps, I think it was Maps earlier on, said she didn't know they were human. She had to ask what they were. She thought they were some kind of monsters. And there was an interesting line, I'm going to have to go back and then I'll go forwards again, where basically Pomeline is like, yeah, they're the Joker's people. Or was it Pomeline or Oliver? Not Oliver, Olivia. One of them's like that. Basically, Maps is like, oh, whatever, it's just the Joker. Batman will stop him, it's fine. And then there's this fantastic line. Pomeline says, what does she know? History, yes, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter about the Joker or whatever. Sorry, that wasn't the right line. And then Maps says, what's to know? He's crazy, and he used to interrupt my cartoons a couple of times a year until we got Webflix. Basically a rip-off of Netflix, I'm assuming. I love this because it's taking the fact that you used to see on like loads of different animated shows and even in quite a few comic books, he'll appear on a screen being the evil showman. And sorry, I've got an itch on my nose. Being the evil showman and sort of blurt out his evil scheme on the screen, showing things. And this girl, all she takes from it is that it interrupted her cartoons. So it's like, a countdown of victims starting at midnight. That isn't this our dear dark night stops me first. So he's making all these death threats like that, and she's just like, oh, I want to watch my cartoons. I think that's a fantastic attitude. That's exactly what a child that kind of age would think. I think it's absolutely brilliant in terms of its writing. Anyway, then we get Professor McPherson shows up. I've no idea why she's a professor if she's a school teacher, considering a professor is an academic rank at a university. But anyway, so she's this Scottish teacher, and she talks about how when she was a child in Scotland, they used to have the Wandering Jester, who was a story that was something that apparently had happened not too long in the distant past. And this is a guy who is kind of like the Joker. And her description of him: he was known by all, known for his garb, coloured a rich dark red, known for his grin, full of glistening teeth, and known for his ability to make people laugh, smile, and sing. Laugh as he told jokes to his collection of human faces. Faces. Oh, I'm usually better at a Scottish accent than that. Smile as he juggled severed limbs. Sing as he performed with his bagpipe made of rotting flesh. All these ghastly acts, he called them his show. And those who failed to play along... Oh, look at this artwork. It's like he's transforming into the devil as he turns his head. Those who failed to play along became props for the next. There is no escaping him except to laugh and smile. Sorry, whenever I say laugh, my accent goes American for some reason. That happens when I say the word normally sometimes. This is absolutely brilliant. It sucks you in, it creeps you out, but it's also the exact kind of story you might expect to hear a character saying in a cartoon. And it's a very cartoonish style. Very simple. Very much the kind of thing which could appear in an animated show. But it's also very creepy. And it freaks out Pomeline. Look at that expression. I'm not sure if you can. It's a bit bright there. It's fantastic. They even say, like, she got you, admit it. I'm going to try avoiding ruining this. And then there's another Joker origin story, which is pretty good, about this guy who, basically, he's playing a game a bit like that whole Bloody Mary thing. It's like you look into a mirror, and this guy looks into a mirror and makes a really dirty joke, and as a result, he becomes the Joker. Basically, it's weird. This whole thing is absolutely brilliant, and they're like all sort of having fun in this warm environment, whilst also there is a dark element of fear and danger. But then they cut outside, and they have this character who is referred to throughout the whole thing as what was it, as the custodian. I mentioned him earlier, and we just assumed that the custodian was sort of a mythological person who might or might not attack the children, but does attack these other beings. And it turns out this guy is presumably, based on the way she talks about Headmaster Hammer, with the words in bold above his face. But what we actually have here is the headmaster going out of his way to protect the students from these Joker zombies. He's tying them up and hanging them from a tree, but he's doing it with swords and a Van Helsing hat and a trench coat and looking like a total badass. Why can't all school head teachers be like this? How amazing would it be if, I don't know, your school was attacked by zombies or something, and your headmaster goes out wearing sort of Van Helsing gear. I'm referring to Hugh Jackman Van Helsing here, from the 2004 film, which I loved, but so many people hated for some reason. In that sort of environment, with swords. This is amazing. It's just a fantastic concept. And this guy is a badass. And all head teachers need to be like him. Period. All. Okay. Overall opinion. This book is great. It has great action. It's funny. It's kooky at least. It's told from a sort of realistic standpoint. It's told the way that I think, at least, children would think and would see the world and would perceive these kinds of things. And the artwork is brilliant. I have no fault with this book at all. It's really, really worth a read. It's actually made me think about, I might actually start reading Gotham Academy as a series after this. I'm not sure. Seeing there's a lot of new series coming out post-Convergence, I know I'm going to read some. I just haven't decided which ones to start reading, because there are too many interesting looking ones, and I need to decide what I can afford to read and what I have time to read. So, that's my opinion on this book, and you may have also just seen I reviewed Arkham Manor Endgame about 10 minutes ago as well. So, that's that. I shall be reviewing actually, now that I think about it, I think there's only one issue of Endgame left. The final issue. As soon as it comes out, and as soon as I have it here, I will read it, as I have been doing for every other issue. But, until then, adios, YouTube.